Before Riverside's Mission Inn and San Bernardino's California Hotel gained their ascendancy, the Casa Loma Hotel in Redlands accommodated thousands of tourists and numerous dignitaries. Presidents Theodore Roosevelt, William McKinley, and William Howard Taft spoke there, welcomed by California governors. It was built to fill a need for a tourist and commercial hotel following the untimely burning in 1895 of the old Teresina Hotel, erected some years earlier overlooking San Timoteo Canyon, west of Redlands. Later, Colonel Ritchie traded it for Saboba Hot Springs near San Jacinto, which he operated. Without any luxury accommodations available, the need for a suitable hotel for tourists became imperative. The Chamber of Commerce discussed the matter and then appointed a committee with Dr. D.W. Stewart as chairman. The amount of $20,000 was secured from the citizens of Redlands, and an arrangement was entered into with Colonel J.T. Ritchie, who was to invest $40,000. The hotel was built and opened on February 25, 1896, with a banquet to the subscribers and others. The banquet, which lasted until 1:30 a.m. at the cost of $2 per plate, caused this comment in one of the local newspapers. Southern Californians were drawn upon to grace and dignify the libations that were poured to the success of the house upon the hill. Colonel Ritchie was succeeded in ownership by the Casa Loma Hotel Company, which took possession on June 1, 1899. It was incorporated for $75,000, with E.S. Graham as president, J.H. Bohan, vice president, Edward M. Cope, secretary, and the First National Bank as treasurer. The hotel was twice enlarged since it came into the hands of the new company. In 1903, it was thoroughly remodeled and refitted, and one of the advertisements issued at that time described it as built in suites, each suite supplied with bath, hot water, radiator, and a telephone. A magnificent view of both the valley and the mountains from each room can be had. Besides serving as a winter retreat for many of the notable dignitaries of that period, the hotel also hosted 3 United States presidents. The first such visit was that of William McKinley. He drove along the route which now bears the name of McKinley Drive in Redlands, and later addressed a group from the balcony of the Casa Loma Hotel. Following close on the heels of his predecessor, President Theodore Roosevelt visited Redlands. With the roadway carpeted with roses and the sun shining brightly, the president was received by some 1,400 school children who sang the Star-Spangled Banner and waved tiny flags. Following McKinley's example, the president addressed the assembled group from the balcony of the Casa Loma. On October 12, 1909, President William Howard Taft spent 1 hour in Redlands speaking from the balcony of the hotel and following the usual course prescribed for such visiting dignitaries. Early in the 1900s, the hotel was involved in the temperance question. Liquor and wine serving in a town that had always been dry was bound to stir up some heated controversy, and Redlands certainly wasn't any different. When the Redlands City Council meetings threatened to become drab or dull, one only had to suggest the trip to the Casa Loma Hotel, and the picture suddenly brightened. Because the tourist situation completely changed for Redlands, and because the tourists began to stay in Los Angeles and the neighboring communities, the Casa Loma Hotel began to lose the luster and the glitter for which it had been so famous. Trade began falling off, and in one of his later annual reports, the president of the corporation suggested the issuance of a liquor license to increase the business and trade, but it was never granted. On February 7, 1938, only one bid of $5,000 was received in public auctioning of the Casa Loma Hotel. For years, the pride of Redlands. The famous old property went to Mrs. Ruth Sutton Roy, who had obtained a $114,000 court judgment against her husband, Charles L. Roy, most recent owner of the establishment. The judgment awarded the past November concluded 2 years of litigation resulting from Mrs. Roy's divorce suit. H.E. Parsons, attorney for Mrs. Roy, was the only bidder in a 4-minute auction that was conducted at the courthouse in San Bernardino. Deputy Sheriff E.C. Eichelman conducted the auction. By going under the hammer at sheriff's sale, the hotellery that was once a California showplace started a new chapter. The Casa played one more big role in 1938, hosting the Golden Jubilee celebration when old-timers met for a luncheon in its dining room and traded stories of the city's early days. On July 11, 1939, the University of Redlands purchased the hotel from Mrs. C.L. Roy for a reported $20,000 and used the hotel as a dormitory most of that time for freshman women. In 1955, it was torn down and has been used since as a parking lot for a Stater Brothers market.